Hey, I'm back doing some more reviews on the Psycho series, and I'm continuing my reviews with the Psycho 3. Now, Psycho 3 came out in 1986. It's got Anthony Perkins back as Norman Bates. It's got Diana Scar or something as Marine. You got Jeff Fahey as Dwayne Duke. Um, and a couple other people. Yeah, nobody really cares. Let's see here. Director, yeah, that's right. Okay. Anthony Perkins directed this one. This is his directorial debut. I don't think he ever directed any movies before this one. This is definitely the first one. Now, this is a controversy movie. It's kind of torn, I think. A lot of people like it, some people don't. You know, now I know that Anthony Perkins was either right before this movie or while he was making this movie was diagnosed with AIDS. Now I want to say he was gay, but I can't really say for sure. I could be completely wrong on that. But I think he was gay. And he contracted AIDS, and his performance is said to be not as good in this movie as in previous, um, because his mind was, on being diagnosed with AIDS. That's a serious illness. I mean, I'm not making fun of it any way, shape, or form. It happens, and it's a serious disease, and if I had gotten something like that while I was an actor, my mind would probably be elsewhere too, and then on top of him doing I'm doing something. Can you come back in a few minutes? Thank you. My son knocking on the door in the middle of a review, so I will see what he wants after I'm done doing this real quick. My wife's out there with him, so I'm sure it's nothing important. Anyways, yeah, so, my mind would probably be elsewhere too. You know, I noticed a little bit of a difference watching the movie. He acts a little different. I mean, honestly, I didn't think it was a bad performance. I just thought you could tell, like, his mannerisms, they were just a little different. There was a small difference there. Um, you know, this one's got an interesting story. It starts out kind of it was like a nun, and they're in like I don't know if it's like a monastery or a church. I can't remember. But this nun, she's trying to be a nun. Plays Maureen. Yeah, excuse me. And she's trying to be a nun, and she accidentally kills one of the other nuns. She like drops down off this tower, and it's kind of the weird beginning to a movie. And I love the score in this movie. I really do. I can't remember. I'll look it up in a minute. But yeah, the score in this movie is really good. I really enjoyed the music in this one. I don't know why. Nothing really special about it. I just liked the music in it. I thought it was good. Yeah. So anyway, she takes off from this monastery or church or wherever she's from. I think it's a monastery, and she's leaving because she's done something horrible, and she's torn between wanting to be a nun, I think, and other things going on in her life. Not really sure. Cause I haven't seen these movies in a while, so I can't really remember. But so anyway, she's hitchhiking, and she gets picked up by this guy named Dwayne, who's really weird. You can tell he's a little off. Um, he just seems like kind of like a jerk who's a bit of a creeper. And yeah, I mean, basically they're driving and it's a rainstorm. They pull over because they almost get in an accident, and he tries making moves on her. He's a pervert, he's like looking up her skirt and shit while she's sleeping. Creepy, kind of weird. Um, so yeah, I mean, she wakes up and he's like trying to get with her, and she like forces him off of her, and or off of her, and she she basically gets out of the car, and it's the middle of a rainstorm, and she ends up leaving, and then he ends up taking off, and then it cuts to Norman and everything, and at the end of the second one, you find out that Norman's mom wasn't his real mom. It was this lady that works at this diner that he was working at in the second one. And and then he ends up going crazy and hitting her in the head with a shovel and killing her. You think he's gonna poison her because they had it set up to where he thought he was gonna poison her, but he didn't. He just hit her in the head with a shovel. Then you got Jeff Fahey, Dwayne. He ends up going and working at this hotel, the Bates Motel, and working for Norman. And then it cuts back to Maureen, and she shows up at the Bates Motel and sees Dwayne there, and she's just like, been walking for miles. She's tired. She just wants to sleep somewhere. Long story short, she tries killing herself, gets put in the hospital. And it's kind of interesting. It's a lot of different cuts in this, because Norman actually does go to kill her. And she's already tried to commit suicide. And so, yeah, it's interesting in this. But you can tell definitely Norman's a killer in this one. He's dressed up like his mom. He's back to his old ways again. And, back to what he was doing in the first one. Like I said, in the second one, I don't think he was killing, but he may have been. I don't know. I think they kind of left it open for debate, but I think at the end, ultimately, the mom was the one doing the killing there. So anyways, you got that going on. Jeff Fahey's character, Dwayne, he's weird. He's just a fucking weirdo. He gets this one girl, back in the hotel because he stays at the hotel. He's working there and he's staying there, and he gets this one girl to come back to the hotel with him, and he's, it's this weird like kinky sex scene and shit going on. It's kind of weird, but he ends up, getting with her or whatever, and he ends up kicking her out of the hotel. Typical jerk guy, hit it and get it the fuck out of here, and she ends up leaving, and Norman, she's like out in the phone booth trying to call a cab or whatever and get out of there, and Norman comes out and kills her, and the girl that gets killed, she's from a couple different movies. I know she's in Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. I know she's the one that gets like the knife up through her stomach or whatever. She like turns around, she's naked, and she turns around in bed or whatever, and flips around and sees the one of the people who lives there in the halfway house with her, sees his face all sliced up and shit. So I've recognized her. She's been in other horror movies. Like I said, it's just a weird kind of it's got a total different tone from the first two, especially from the first one. But I enjoy it. It's pretty good. It's interesting. Really not much else to be said about it. There's really not a whole lot of things I can go into with it. It's just Norman back to his old ways. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything I'm missing here. Made in 1986, so it was 3 years after the second one. Until Anthony Perkins is getting a little older. Gets a 5.3 on IMDb. That's probably fair, accurate. It's not great. It's not the best sequel, but I think it's better than the fourth one. But that's up for debate, I guess. Yeah, you just got Dwayne, this drifter guy. He's weird. He ends up finding out about Norman dressing up like his mom again, and you know, tells him what's going on, and he realizes what's going on and shit, and basically wants to help him, I guess. He's kind of weird, and yeah, and then you got this girl who, you know, Norman's just infatuated with, Maureen. And you know, the thing I guess they tried to go with is she reminds him of, hey, I'm busy. Can you get out, please? Thank you. They tried to go with that it reminded of the girl from the first one, Janet Leigh's character. And he falls in love with her, and she falls in love with him, and nothing ever comes of it. You know, it shows them being married in the fourth one, so obviously didn't marry her. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much all I gotta say about Psycho 3. It's a good sequel. It's not the best, but it is good. It's definitely worth giving it a gander. You know, I always loved how Norman gets rid of the people. He puts them in their car in a fucking trunk and then throws them down in the swamp. You'd think that the cops already know that that's where he dumps his victims at. So you'd think he would find a different spot for him or find a different swamp, because it can't be the only swamp in the world, you know, or around there anyway. You know, he's but anyways, so that's Psycho 3. I'm going to continue on with Psycho 4, so stay tuned for that. Thanks.